Hello, hip cats and groovy chicks. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. It's summertime here. I'm your alter Dominigo man. And, the KH doesn't like to talk about these kind of things, but, he's coming up to 100,000 subscribers. Maybe about 300 more. It might come up this month or next month or so on. I said, you should have a special celebration. You should have a gala event, and maybe give a prize for the 100th person. And he said, what would you give him? Oh, I'd give him my book with the autograph. Well, who the hell wants this book with an autograph? I said, why don't you give him a TV or a car or something interesting, better than that? He said, well, I can't afford to give him a car. I said, come on. But anyway, he will give the 100,000 person at least a book autographed and maybe, a token beyond that. And he will also give people who just write into him, and they'll give you a discount or a free book if you write into him. Well, the KH, he didn't like me telling stories about him, but, years ago, he was playing in a club, and he happened to know this funny joke. Anyway, he played a set. Hello, hello. And he played a set, and the club owner was there and everything. We got off the bandstand, and some friends of his were there, and he sat down at the club, the table there, and he said, he told them this joke. Well, everybody broke up. They thought it was funny, really funny. The club owner heard it too, and he said, hey, I want to hire you for a gig, but not to play the piano. I want you to hire to tell jokes. Now, can you imagine the insult of that? Here it was, a pianist, struggling pianist, and the guy was going to hire him for a comedian. Now, there you go. Hello. Oh, here he comes. He's coming to the walkway. I got to split. The horses are restless. I'll see you. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. This is my friend Herbie. He's the greatest cat in the world. And I love him, and we love cats. And, this is what Albert Schweitzer said. He said, there are two means of refuge from the miseries of life. Music and cats. If you're not a cat lover, then you can leave now. But anyway, we love Herbie. He's eccentric, like musicians. He's a lot like musicians. They're independent. They do their own thing. They have their own life. They don't, necessarily, they're not hired by someone. You're self-employed, but... and they're very cool. And they do the opposite what you've asked them to do. But anyway, in addition to that, I want to tell you a quote by Jack Kerouac. He said this, the only truth is music. Now, I love that because this is Jack Kerouac, and we know who he is. And so now I am coming up on the 100,000 subscribers, and we will have an event for that, including a free book. But in the meantime, I have something for you this evening about the song Moanin. Now, people have asked me to show more about my left hand, what I do in my left hand song. So I'm going to talk about not only the soloing aspects, but also what I do in the left hand. So here we go with Moanin. Now, starting out, people have asked me what I'm doing in my left hand, or how I conceive, or what's the concept of the left hand. Well, now the left hand is playing voicings that complement the right. So they can either be block chords, like that. Block chords are chords that are built on thirds. That's a minor third, there's a major third, there's another minor third. There's an F minor 7. We're in the key of F here, so actually we're in the key of F minor, so there's ambiguity to this song because sometimes it's an F and F minor. And you may ask, why is that? Well, because when I play, I go, see, it ends up on that major third, but I go, so it's really a blues scale which has that, both the major and the minor in it. So that clears that up. Anyway, so I use, the chords I use in my left hand are built on that, and they can either be shells like this, you know, open voicings. That's a spread 10th actually, minor 10th, to a spread 1-7, flat 7, 1 flat 7, 1 3. So I use those a lot, and I also use rootless voicings up here, like use that a lot during the solo because I want this hand to be in a good position for me to solo down here. And if I have to go down lower, then I'll just put simple things, maybe just a bass note in the left hand when I come down. If I'm soloing in the lower register like that, I need to just have a support of the bass note. So there's 3 varieties. There's the open shells like this, there's the rootless chords like this, and there's just the bass note, where the left hand, the right hand is down in the lower ear. So those 3 categories are there. And if you know those 3, then you can play this song perfectly. And so when I'm playing here, rhythmically, I might be just supporting the rhythm in the backing track. So I try to keep it, you know, against the beat. If I'm playing a line here, then I'm playing this chord against the beat, not necessarily with it. Sometimes I'm playing with the melody, but sometimes I'm playing against it like this. That's against it. With it is... Okay, part 2. I want to talk about the right hand, what I'm doing improvisation wise, and what scale I'm playing. And it's based on this scale here. Now that's an F minor pentatonic, but I'm also using the F blues scale, which is this. And then I'm using notes outside of that. But those are the underlying scales. This is the F minor pentatonic. It's 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And the blues scale is 1, flat 3, 4, augmented 4th, or flatted 5th, 5, flat 7. So they're very close, you know. Now, if you listen to Bobby Timmons playing on this original recording, you're going to get an idea of what I'm talking about. If you don't listen to recordings, then you have no clue. You have to listen to these records, the original recordings, which I did back in the day. And that's how I know how to do this. But I'm going to show you some of the things I did in the right hand. Well, I'm using that scale. Plus, I'm doing things like this where I'm holding one note down. I'm doing that and playing on that blues scale like that. Or I'm playing in octaves on that blues scale. When I'm doing that, I'm using these inverted voicings that are rootless. So I'm getting... You could use sometimes, like Bobby Timmons in the original recording did, a lot of root-based voicings in the left hand like this. That's kind of an old sound. That's a 50s sound. You want a more modern sound, you want to go to rootless up here. And the octaves here. But you see, if you boil it all down, the simplest form, it's just the F minor pentatonic, which is built on A flat, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Fifth mode of it is F minor pentatonic, 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. So it's that. And then if you add the blues scale into that, you're going to add that note. But sometimes I put that note in, which doesn't belong, but it's interesting to like put it in there. And I sometimes put that note. note in there. So you can play any notes you want, but the underlining harmony is the F minor pentatonic and the F blues scale. Those are the most important scales within the improvisation. So I've talked about left-hand concepts and some of the right-hand concepts in terms of improvising, but I didn't talk so much about the rhythm. Now the rhythm is swing eights. This is swing eights. It's not Latin music, or it's not rock and roll or whatever. And the swing eights is unique to jazz. Like that. In other words, the first note is longer than the second note. And I have videos on this to show you breaking it down. But anyway, the important thing is to understand that it's swing eights and it's syncopated. It's not on the beat, you know, like, well, now also Latin music is syncopated, but it's more like straight eights, like. It's a swing eight, so it's. Unique to jazz is its swing feel, that it swings, and that means that the first note of the eighth notes is longer, twice as long as the second one. And the other thing I did in there was a turn. Now this is something that is very specific to jazz, is that turn. All it is that it's an eighth, and this is a 16th. One E and a. Okay. So that's the right hand, how you solo rhythmically in the right hand. So I know I haven't gone into much detail, but I hope you've gotten something out of this lesson on Moanin, using the left hand voicings and the right hand improvisation. Please write to me. I'll love to hear from you. And so I'm going to sign off now, and here we go. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much, friends, for joining me. And you know, I try to leave you with a quote, and this one comes from Charlie Parker. He said this: all music is a place. And if that's true, then jazz is the city. Folk music is the wilderness. Rock music is the road, and classical music is a temple. And he said there are only two things in life: love, all kinds of love, and music, specifically the music of New Orleans or Duke Ellington. And he said this: everything else ought to go because everything else is ugly. Now that's unfortunate that he felt that way. But you know, he did die very young. He gave so much to the world, so much to the jazz world in such a short time, and he died too young. And it's too bad that he only saw it that way. But I understand it. And so I'm going to say, signing off with you, please write to me. I love to hear from you. Consider me your friend, your personal friend. You can write to me with questions or anything that's on your mind at any time. And I will say until next time, swing loose. Thank you, Hermie, and we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.